Good morning. This is Pastor Gisele Berninghaus from Faith Lutheran Church. And in these new days, we're coming to you in new ways, trying to figure this out. So today I'm going to read our gospel reading for the fourth Sunday in Lent. This is from John, the 9th chapter. Walking down the street, Jesus saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, causing him to be born blind?" Jesus said, "You're asking the wrong question. You're looking for someone to blame. There's no such cause-effect here. Look instead for what God can do. We need to be energetically at work for the one who sent me here, working while the sun shines. When night falls, the workday is over. For as long as I am in the world, there is plenty of light. I am the world's light." Jesus said this and then spit in the dust, made a clay paste with the saliva, rubbed the paste on the blind man's eyes, and said, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam." Siloam means sent. The man went and washed and saw. Soon the town was buzzing. His relatives and those who year after year had seen him as a blind man begging were saying, "Well, isn't this the man we knew who sat here and begged?" Others said, "It's him all right." But others objected. "It's not the same man at all. It just looks like him." He said, "It's me, the very one." They said, "How did your eyes get opened?" "A man named Jesus made a paste and rubbed it on my eyes and told me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' I did what he said. When I washed, I saw." "So where is he?" "I don't know." They marched the man to the Pharisees. This day when Jesus made the paste and healed his blindness was the Sabbath. The Pharisees grilled him again and again on how he had come to see. He said, "He put a clay paste on my eyes, and I washed, and now I see." Some of the Pharisees said, "Obviously, this man can't be from God. He doesn't keep the Sabbath." Others countered, "How can a bad man do miraculous, God-revealing things like this?" There was a split in their ranks. They came back at the blind man. "You're the expert. He opened your eyes. What do you say about him?" He said, "He's a prophet." The Jews didn't believe the man was blind to begin with, so they called the parents, and the man, now bright-eyed with sight, they asked him, "Is this your son, the one who you say was born blind? So how is it that he now sees?" His parents said, "We know he is our son, and we know he was born blind. But we don't know how he came to see. Haven't a clue about who opened his eyes." "Why don't you ask him? He's a grown man and can speak for himself." His parents were talking like this because they were intimidated by the Jewish leaders who had already decided that anyone who took a stand like this for the Messiah would be kicked out of the meeting place. That's why his parents said, "Ask him. He's a grown man." They called the man back a second time, the man who had been blind, and told him, "Give credit to God. We know this man is an impostor." He replied, "I know nothing about that, one way or the other. But I know one thing for sure. I was blind. I now see." This is the gospel of the Lord. Grace to you and peace in the name of our living and loving Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. It's good to be together with you in this new way, in a new day. And as I was contemplating how I would do this, I wondered if I should read this entire gospel story because it's a long lesson. I thought maybe I just needed to cut to the point. And then I thought, no, we're in a new day. We're trying to live into a new way of doing things. And maybe one of the blessings is that we have a little more time. Time maybe to slow down more than we usually do, to pray, to reflect, and as this story shows, to see some things differently, to develop some new habits and routines. This past week, we had to adjust every day to new information, new limitations in order to flatten out the curve, new directives to help keep the most vulnerable people and our healthcare workers well. It's been exhausting, as you well know. I kept reacting all week, trying to make decisions, answering questions, calming fears, making funeral plans, and then changing them daily, adjusting, praying, feeling exhausted. My brain needed to breathe. So yesterday, I took some downtime. And today, finally slowing down. Now we can no longer have public gatherings. So we're developing new ways to connect. Let's be patient with each other as we work our way through this. We'll figure it out. Let's see things in new ways. And this is a wonderful story of hope and light to hear at this time when there is so much fear and dread. First, in this story, I see Jesus' compassion for this man who was born blind, a person who would have been left out of so much of life, on the margins, more vulnerable than most. That's who Jesus attends to and asks us to go and do likewise. Look around you. See in new ways those who are often forgotten, neglected, isolated. How can you be light for them? There's so many creative ways that people are coming up with safe ways to visit other neighbors, wave at the window. Our telephones still work. Spend some of this new time on them, on others, as you shine the light of Christ's love to them. You will be blessed, and so will they. There'll be more light. You are the light of the world. Let's shine. That is our mission statement here at Faith Lutheran. We're loved by God. It all starts with God. God's love comes down to us and then flows through us as we live it for others. Loved by God, living for others. This is what we've been practicing for and training for, people of God, to live Christ's love in the world this day at this time. The next thing I see in this story is how quickly the questions start. Whose fault is it? Why was this man born blind? Who sinned? Who can we criticize? Jesus puts a stop to that pretty quickly. It's not about blaming others, Jesus says. You're asking the wrong question. You're looking for someone to blame. There's no such cause and effect here. Look instead for what God can do. We need to be energetically at work for the one who sent me here, working while the sun shines. When night falls, the workday is over. For as long as I am in the world, there's plenty of light. I am the world's light. Let's put a stop to criticizing, to blaming. It's important that we gain a new perspective, have new insights. So instead of criticizing and blaming, and we all do it, but as soon as we catch ourselves, let's change. Let's work to make a difference. When we catch ourselves criticizing and blaming, instead, let's start thinking about our blessings, practicing gratitude. What are we thankful for? Look around and see all the good that God has given to us. And as we live into that, it can be a way of changing the world, a direction for the new future. And finally, there are those who couldn't quite catch on to what Jesus was doing, or wouldn't catch on to this new thing that God was doing in the world through Jesus. Jesus was breaking the Sabbath. This isn't the way things are done. Back to the previous point, let's not criticize others. Jesus also teaches, instead of trying to pick the speck out of your neighbor's eye, first concentrate on getting the log out of your own. We all have blind spots. Change is hard. And these days, this week, the change has been fast forward at a pace that makes our heads spin. In our lesson today, those religious leaders are asking this man to side with their understanding. But the man responds, I know nothing about that, but I know one thing for sure. I was blind. Now I see. That's the point. That's the good news. Jesus' power is active in love and compassion to bring sight, insight, light into places that have been dark. Jesus truly changes people's lives, transforms them. No matter how blind or stubborn or fearful or doubtful we've been, the message is for all. Jesus' light, Jesus' love is for you. It brings hope and healing to your life, and then through you to others. Thank you for the many ways that you are sharing and shining Jesus' light in the world. Thank you for the ways that you will continue to shine Christ's light. Thanks to you and thanks be to God for you. Keep looking at the sign on my wall. Keep calm and carry on. Jesus is here in you. Thanks be to God. Blessings, church.